Hi, I'm Stephanie with Totally Stitchin by Baby Lock, and I'm going to show you how to make one of these great drawstring backpack bags, otherwise known as the cinch bag. These bags are really easy to make. It takes about an hour or less once you get the hang of it. They're also really inexpensive. I found all of my t-shirts for $3 or $4 on clearance, or about $7. And so the only other cost to you is the strapping. So for this tutorial, you will need a t-shirt. I would aim for a child size large or larger. You also want to kind of pay attention to where the graphic is. So for this t-shirt, the graphic was about 4 inches from the neckline, and I was able to sacrifice a little bit of the graphic up top because when you cinch it, you still want to be able to read the graphic. If you can't and it's just too close, then we can actually add some fabric up at the top. So if that's the case, go ahead and get 6 inches of extra fabric so that we can sew that to the top. Another thing that you can do for like these t-shirts, we can cut off some of the fabric down here and add it to the top. You'll also need strapping. You'll need about 3 yards for a child's bag and 4 yards for an adult bag. So now we're going to cut our t-shirt, and with t-shirt graphics you kind of have to get creative sometimes. So with a child shirt, you'll want to cut about 13 inches wide by 16 inches long, or for an adult about 16 inches wide by 19 inches long. For this shirt, the graphic is all over the place, very busy, so it would be very easy just to cut, and you just cut the rectangle out front and back because you would need the back side. What's nice about some graphics like this, you can actually turn the soccer ball upside down or the graphic upside down, and it's the same exact direction. It doesn't look like it's upside down, so then you'd have all this fabric to work with. And the reason we need extra fabric at the top is because the bag cinches up and you don't want to lose any of the message. So like for this shirt, we cut the graphic out and we're going to add a band at the top where the bag is going to cinch. So cut it about 1.5 inches above the graphic, and you can either add a coordinating fabric to make your desired measurements of the bag, or you can just use the lower portion of the shirt and just move this fabric up to here. If you piece them together, you need to make a 1/2 inch seam right here. So like for this one, you create a 1/2 inch seam just to create your rectangle, and then I went ahead and serged it to finish it so that you don't get any frays. And then you'll go ahead and put a top stitch about 1/4 inch down from your seam. Now that we have our rectangles cut, we are actually going to measure down from the top 2.5 inches, and you'll make a 1/2 inch mark on the front and back. So you'll have 4 of these. And then you're going to go ahead and cut a 1/2 inch slit into those on both sides for the front and the back. And then you're actually going to iron that in, and then you're going to iron it in another 1/4 inch, so you create a tubing on both sides. And then we're going to go ahead and stitch that down, right down the center, just back stitch at the beginning and then come down and back stitch at the end for all 4 sides. So now that we've sewn these tubes down, we are going to create our casing. So you're going to press down a 1/2 inch, and then you're going to press down another inch. We're going to stitch really close to the edge of the casing. Your back stitch at the beginning. Okay, now I have pinned the 2 sides of my shirt bag together, and we are actually going to sew the lower seam first. So we just sewed our lower seam, and we're going to sew our side seams now. And the only thing that you need to note is you need to draw a line 1.5 inches from the lower cut edge, and because you're going to stop at that line. So you're going to sew your side seam, you're going to go all the way from the top, and you're going to end at that cut because we need about 1 inch hole here to insert our straps in the next step. Okay, now we're going to put the straps in. So you'll want to cut your strapping in half and then add a safety pin at the top. And if you have a skinny loop turner, you can actually just thread it through and hook your pin on, pull it right through. Otherwise, you can just feed your safety pin through. After you feed the strapping through the lower tube, you'll want to pull it through a little bit and then feed it through the top. Again, if you have a skinny loop turner, this makes things really fast, but you can kind of feed the safety pin through, and then you'll pull your straps even. And you're going to do the same thing for the other side. You're just going to enter on the opposite side of what you just did. After you have your strapping through, you are going to safety pin the 2 ends together, and you'll feed it through the coordinating side out to where we left that opening down at the lower edge. And you're going to do that to both sides. At this point, you can actually safety pin it and see how long the straps are going to be, and if they're too long, you can pull it through on both sides evenly. And if it's perfect, you just leave it right where it's at. Go ahead and pin it, and then we're going to sew over that hole to close it. After you've sewn this down really well down here at the bottom, you can turn your bag inside out. And you're all done. You have a very cute drawstring backpack bag, and you can make them for little girls and boys or older teenagers, adults. They can be used for so many different things. If you liked our project, be sure to check us out on Totally Stitchin for more really great projects.